is this idea of connection, that it's not always successful, but that it does always matter. So thank you for joining me for this little morning conversation. And it starts with this idea that, when we try to connect with other people, is 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's going to work well. And yet there are inevitably those times where it just doesn't, where it sort of falls flat on its face as we would perceive it, or may not work the way we had hoped. All those things are true, and yet we have to remember that it still always matters that we do that, because that's sort of the essence of unconditional love. Like, learning unconditional love is learning that we're just to do the loving thing, and the results get to be what the results are. Sometimes they're going to be positive, more often than not. Sometimes they're going to be negative, which will be true as well. But that idea that that's what we're really trying to do, is to just be as connected as possible. So I want to read for you a little piece here. This is just a beautiful one about the form of heaven, and how that is so much this idea of connection. And it just is, it's sort of the very essence of Christianity. I mean, Christianity is a relational faith. It is not a dogmatic faith, actually, in many ways. That's why we have so many different perspectives, but we'd all call each other Christians. I look at my Catholic brothers and sisters, and I think they're every bit as much a Christian as I am. Same with the evangelical, the Mormon, the whole thing. And that's because we all share kind of this basic core around that. It's a relational faith, and it's about how we relate to other people. So let me give you a little reading here that's just beautiful. It's a little extended, but I think it's just beautiful. The basic form of heaven is such that everyone there is a kind of center point. So what is heaven like? Heaven is where everybody is in the middle. Everyone is a kind of center to which all happiness of everyone else is communicated in accordance with the variations of love. So, in other words, like, everybody's the center, but everybody's part of this circuit, sort of this great internet where love is flowing through. People who reciprocate the love of others find their supreme happiness in the opportunity to share with others what they themselves receive, and to do so from the heart. As a consequence, the sharing goes on perpetually and eternally, so that the larger the Lord's kingdoms grow, the more the happiness of the individual members grow. So everybody's constantly being added. Heaven is always growing. More angels are always being developed. Developed a word. It makes it sound like a football team. Angels are always more and more angels are coming, because that's the way life works. And as that happens, this circuit just gets stronger and stronger and stronger as people learn to connect more and more and more connected over time. And it reminds me of this great saying that a seminary professor, Willard Heinrich, shared, and it really, really resonated with me. He said, "Heaven is where you become more connected to all eternity. Hell is where you become more isolated to all eternity." That's a beautiful way to see that. And so, folks, the takeaway here is really, really straightforward. Is, yeah, you know what? You may have just had a dud connection yesterday, right? But don't learn too much from it. Just allow it to be a dud connection. Yeah, last night, yeah, out at dinner, and some people had stopped by the table to say hi. Just very light kind of conversation. Sometimes you get into at restaurants. When I was leaving, I went over just to say goodbye, wish them all well. It was obvious that I was stepping into the middle of an important conversation. I sort of got that, like, okay, you can leave now. Look, um, and that's okay, right? Because I would rather have tried that and not had it work than to not try it and end up second guessing every single time I want to connect with someone. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to work. 1 time out of 10, it's not. And maybe 2 out of 10, it's not. At the most, I think. But we still want to do that. And it's not just like good idea. It's because that's how we practice heaven. And so much of this life is learning to practice heaven now. Again, say it all the time. Heaven, from a Christian New Church perspective, of course, it's a place. But really, for us, what's most important is that it's a practice. It's a practice right here and right now. So let's do that practice today with the practice of connection. So I hope that makes sense, dear friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears, and we're going to shift gears into taking a little breath and a little meditation, a little prayer, and a little blessing. So let's first off start with just getting comfortable and taking a little breath. And a little meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's get a little cheery hello to folks here. A little cheery hello. And again, I hope you're all doing incredibly well today. May it be a blessed day filled with lots and lots of good connections. That's for sure. All right. Let's see if old Nellie's gonna cooperate here. Sorry about that, friends. Sometimes technology, as we all know, is not always our friend. Let's try it this way. All right. Okay.
Incredibly well today.
All right. Frank, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Linda, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Sherry, good morning to you. And boy, there's a lot of great connectors right there. So thank you, folks, for joining us this morning. And now flipping on over. Let's see here. All right. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Melissa, good morning to you. And you're right. I love good connections. Great feeling. It really is, was right. It's so good when we're really connected with other people. Boy, that, you want to know what heaven's like, that's it. And it's interesting, right? Because the idea that religion, the word religion, religio, literally means to reconnect. So this whole idea of connection is just woven right on in. So thank you, folks, for joining me this morning. God bless all of you, and we will see you again tomorrow here on 10 Minutes of Morning